Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good morning, Prof. and also all participants. We are from Group 6. Are proudly presents the material for our meeting today. They are about chapter 11 and also chapter 12 from the books. And as first speakers, I am Muhammad Aswara Siddiq. And I'm going to present about adapting an existing coursebook. So before we come to the material, let me show you the learning output for this meeting. In this meeting, actually, we are expected to be able to choose and adapt a coursebook in a systematic way and justify our decisions. So, in the first subtopic for my presentations, it will be about the coursebooks, the learners, and also the teachers. In curriculum design process, coursebook is an important thing that a designer need to evaluate an existing coursebooks and a teachers need to use in a course. The curriculum design is more than just an invention. It is a creation based on existing course and books. Teachings must be matched to the learner's current knowledge and also, of course, needs. And course books are supposed to be an effective support to continue building knowledge for the students. The process must be carefully studied and evaluated with some interesting points which would be developed in the next chapter, I think, by way of erection society. There are many books in this word, but there is that books does not complete the features to use in course, so that we have to be able to adopt and also adapt many course book from millions books into thousands books and then be a few of books that worth to use in a course. We should know whether a course book is worth or not and should to know how to adapt course books to apply in a course. There has been considerable debate on the role of course books in language course. For instance, Prabhu 1989 suggests that because teaching must be matched to the learner's current knowledge, course books will not be effective because they are not in touch with the state of this knowledge. All right, in 1981 also highlighted the textbooks as removing learners from negotiating the curriculum design process. These points underline the importance of having a flexible approach to the use of coursebooks and choosing a coursebooks which is allow for flexibility. In order to take a systematic approach to looking at the possible roles of the coursebooks, teachers, and learners in the curriculum design process, it is necessary actually to look at the each part of the curriculum design process. This book propose us a table related to areas and agents in assigning responsibility for parts of curriculum designs, as you can see in the slide. This table lists the areas to consider when deciding where the course books, learners, and teachers will contribute the contribute to curriculum design. Each of these areas needs to be informed by considerations of environment needs, students' needs for the most important thing, and principles. Column three needs to be filled according to who is given responsibility. Course books, teachers, or learners. In this table, we can see that there are three areas of design. The first one is content and sequencing. In this area of designs, there are several questions that need to answer. The first one is what language content, what ideas content, how much cover, and also how often it cover. For the second area of designs, it is about format and presentations. Some questions related to this area are how presented, what format for the lessons, and who presents. For the last area of designs is monitoring and assessing. There are some questions also. The first one is what assess, when, and how, and also who assess. So, okay. And then related to the teachers and course materials, I'm going to look at a range of relationship between them, ranging from the strong reliance on a course books, the use of source books, and the internet. Once a course books has been chosen, teachers may follow the course books very closely, making online small essential changes and additions. There are several reasons why teachers may follow the course books closely. The first one is because of Ministry of Educations of or governors. Their school or Ministry of Educations sometimes requires the teachers to follow the book the course books closely. Yeah, this is actually because of this of standardize the quantity and the quality of the educations the learners get, and sometimes because governors or Ministry of Educations in these situations uh, have a lack of trust in the skills of the teachers. That's why the Ministry of Educations or governors uh, suggest the teachers to follow the course books closely. And the second reason is the teachers may be unexperienced or they don't have uh, any concepts or have a good knowledge about the adaptations of the course books. The teachers may also have no idea about how to adapt the course books itself. And the next reasons is the teachers is convinced of the high quality of the course books. So the teachers believes that the course books that are chosen by them have quality, have a high quality. And the last reason is the learners wish to cover every part of the course books. The greatest areas of flexibility for our teachers when following a course books closely are in how the material is presented actually, uh, in the form of format or the presentations, and monitoring and also an assessment. The technique they are used to present the material can be varied to suit the interest and also proficiency of the learners in the classroom. At its simplest, this may involve varying the speed, number of repetitions, whether the learners have to use their memory by closing their books, assigning some parts of lessons as homework, or getting learners to act out parts of materials. With more adaptations, this may involve the teachers adding new things such as games or maybe ice breaking in the classroom. Teachers who want to make the classroom activities more task-like can ask themselves the six questions proposed by Willis. Willis in 2007, I mean, that were introduced in chapter 4 of this book. For any questions that gets a no answer, the teacher then considers a way to adapt the activity so that the answer become yes. And then we move to next subtopics. It is about adapting a course book. Once a course book has been chosen by the teachers, so they may wish to make substantial changes to it. There are several reasons for doing this, and this could be classified as responding to the environment, taking account of students' needs, classroom needs, or putting principles in practice. Here are some of them, as you can see in the slide. The first one is the course book does not include all the activity that the teacher has used successfully before. So the teacher may add some activities to support the course book. And the second one is the course book material does not fit comfortably into the time available for the course. So teacher may omit some content to fix the time consuming. And the next, the course book contain content that is unsuitable for the learner's level of proficiency or age. Sometimes because uh, of yeah, sometimes because of inappropriate materials proposed by the course book. So the teacher may add some explanations or maybe add materials from another sources such as internet or another source. And then the learner's knowledge and skills do not match the involved in the course books. It is according to Prabhu 1989, if I'm not mistaken. And then the course books does not include language items, skills, ideas, discourse, or strategies that the learners need. So the material proposed by the teacher should appropriate to the learner's need in the classroom. That's why a course books chosen by the teacher need to adapt so it can be appropriate for the learner's needs in the classroom. And then the course books does not apply principles that the teachers feel should be applied. And the last one is the course books does not involve the learners in the curriculum design process. Because of the reasons like this, the teachers may wish to adapt the course books. In this example, the teacher does not have the options of abandoning the course books, perhaps because it is the required text for the course. The learners have already bought it or overall it has more positive features than negative features. So it just need to adapt. The teachers can do the following things to adapt a course books. Um, there are some suggestions actually for the teachers in adapting a course books proposed by these books. The first one is add or omit content. The teachers add exercises to give extra practice to items that are frequently used in the language or which require extra time to learn. The teachers may skip over confusing or unimportant parts of lessons. So, for example, teaching only one item in pairs of word that may interfere with each other. So, teacher may omit the content. The second one is change the sequencing of the content. The teacher introduces some items earlier in the course because they are needed to do added activities and change the format. Instead of beginning the lessons with a dialogue, the teachers may put it towards in the end of the lesson. So the teachers they change the format and uses the other exercises uh, in the lessons to prepare for it. Change the presentations. The teacher use different technique than those used in the book. Add or omit monitoring. The teachers encourages the learners to make tests to check each other's learning of what is in the lessons. And the last one is add or omit assessment. The teachers introduces weekly tests to encourage learners to do homework or to let them see their progress. An example of the teachers adding content may be through the additions of an extensive reading component to the course. The teachers may decide to do this because she or he does not feel the course book is applying principles the art teachers believe are important. In this case, the principles are these actually proposed in these books in chapter 4. The first one is comprehensible input. There should be substantial quantities of interesting, comprehensible, receptive activity in both listening or reading. Fluency. A language course should provide activities aimed at increasing fluency with which learners can use the language they already know, both receptively and productively. Time on task. As much time as possible should be spent focusing on using in the second language or foreign language. Tanaka and Stapleton 2007 described the implementations of the result of this type of education in Japanese high schools as a means of preparing them for graded readers. Students read teachers made reading materials for a short time in class over a period of about 5 months. Reading speed gains were recorded for all students, and for those who also graded readers' reading comprehensions all improved. Progressive adaptations of coursebook over several courses can be a safe way for a teachers to develop professionally through a modest amount of actions research. As we have seen in chapter 9, it is also a useful way of beginning to design your our own course. The proper role of course books in courses is a matter of debate. according to Richards 1985, and also Prabhu 1989, suggests that learners would be better served if teachers did not use coursebook but assemble their courses by drawing on a variety of source books such as uh, conversation books, time reading books, intensive reading books, listening texts, as well as teachers' made materials. There are several reasons for doing this. They may be classified according to the author circles of the curriculum design diagram. The first one is single course book does not meet the diverse need of the learners in the class. So the teachers may add some materials taken from source books. Drawing materials from a variety of sources allows the teachers to keep each lesson as close as possible to what the learner needs. Learners can have a strong say in what kind of topics and what kinds of material they work with. This allows teachers and learners to negotiate the syllabus during the course. Teachers have the chance to make greater use of their professional skills such as material preparations, course planning, adaptations of activities, and multi-level teachings in one class. The circumstances under which the course is taught may it difficult to find an appropriate textbooks. For examples, the teaching has been divided up so that one teacher deals with reading, another deals with another deals with writing and so on. Or the class number are small, so the learners of widely varying levels of proficiency have to be in the same class. And the last, current course books do not reflect state-of-the-art knowledge in applied linguistics. So I think that's all for my presentations. Thank you so much for attention and opportunity. We move to the second speaker. Thank you so much once again. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Well, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm from group 6. My name is Mustakima, and I'm going to continue the material about adopting and adapting an existing course book. Okay, well, here's the evaluating a course book. Um, every year, teachers should choose course books to use in their courses, and learners spend considerable amounts of money buying them. Once a course book has been chosen and bought, there is then an obligation to make use of it, even if it turns out to be not very satisfactory. It is thus worth spending some time considering in a systematic way what is the best book available and whether it is good enough to recommend making it the text for a course. A systematic approach of course book evaluation can be based on the parts of the curriculum design process, like does the course book suit the environment in which it will be used? Does the course book meet the needs of the learners? Does the course book apply sensible principle of the teaching and learning? Do the goals of course book match the goals of the course? Does the content of the course book suit the proficiency level of the learners and reflect sensible selection and sequencing principles. Is the course book interesting and does it use effective techniques? Does the course book include tests and ways of monitoring progress? Okay. The next is about the essential features, reducing the list of possible books. Um, Here, shown the reducing the list of possible books, there are six. Very early in the evaluation procedure, the teacher needs to decide what features are absolutely essential for the wanted course book. Any course book without this essential feature would not be worth considering further. Here are some possible essential features. The first is the book should be at the right vocabulary and grammar level for the learners. The next is the book should focus on the language and skills that are the goal of the course. The book should be below a certain price. The book should be readily available. The size and number of lessons in the book should suit the length of the course. And the last is the book should not include behavior and topics that would offend the religious or cultural sensitivities of the learners and their parents. A source of some features to consider that we found in chapter 2 on environment analysis. It is also useful to go systematically through the parts of the curriculum design process to find such feature. Um, the aim is to make a very short list of two of or three absolutely essential features that can be used to quickly eliminate books that are not worth considering further. For example, if the course begins in a week's time, then the availability of the book is essential. If there is time for orders to be placed and filled, availability is not an essential feature. Similarly, most course books are not too expensive, but if the learners are particularly poor or the school has a very limited budget, a low cost could be an essential feature. Next is about choosing. Okay, well, next is about choosing and weighting the features. The list of features to consider in table 11.2 is taken from the chapters on content and sequencing, format and presentation, and monitoring and assessment. Three things need to be done to the list. Um, the first is add features that you consider important but which are not on the list. Try to do this systematically by considering the various parts of the curriculum design process. The second is take away features from the list so that the content a manageable list of features, leaving preferably no more than 10 or 12 because it is not possible to include all the participles of teaching and learnings on this list. It will be necessary to decide which of those principles are really important enough to include. This this will probably mean choosing no more than two or three from the list of 20. The third is divide the features in the list into 2 or 3 groups in order to decide which features are very important, which are important, and which are desirable but not so important. This list of features does not include the absolutely essential features, which should be listed separately. There are several reasons for dividing the features into groups. Firstly, it helps to clarify priorities. Secondly, it provides some indication of how much time should be spent on examining a particular feature in the coursebook. Thirdly, the grouping can act the basis of for giving numerical points for each features so that the score or the total number of points can be given to a course book and thus make comparison of course books easier. Okay, table 11.2 is a list to choose from, trying to consider all features could make the process of evaluating and comparing and comparing too complicated. But the next table, or the table 11.3, is a simple evaluation form designed for a beginner's course. The importance of each feature is indicated by its weighting. The evaluator then scores each feature and multiplies the score by the weight given to that feature to provide an overall score out of 100. The design of an evaluation form will be determined by the focus of the evaluation. For example, Nita and Garner in 2005 developed a framework for evaluating grammar tasks, and Renders and Lewis in 2006 proposed um, of a checklist for evaluating self-access material. Occasionally, um, an evaluation may be concerned with whether social concerns, in addition to language learning features. There might, for example, be a desire to avoid a sexist or racist depiction of the word through the coursebook. Well, next is about the evaluation forms. Okay, well, a comparison of the evaluation forms designed by Tucker in 1968, Sheldon in 1988, and Ure in 1996 shows how current theories of second language learning influence coursebook evaluation. Okay, an evaluation form that seemed adequate 20 or 40 years ago now seems inappropriate. When examining the adequacy of an evaluation form, we can use the same criteria as we use for evaluating a test. Like, is the form reliable? Would different people use the same form on the same coursebook, reach similar conclusions? Is the form valid? Does the form cover the important features of a coursebook? Is the choice of features to examine in agreement with our current knowledge of curriculum design and second language learning? Is the form practical? Is it easy to understand? Is it easy to use? Can it be used to evaluate a coursebook in a reasonable short time? Are the results of evaluation understandable and usable? Okay, the last is presenting the result. Okay, a course book evaluation form is a tool. A completed form is not always the best way of presenting the results of an evaluation. If others are to use the results or be convinced by the results, uh, and the other one is excellent model for presenting results of evaluations can be found in reviews and survey reviews in professional journals such as ELT journals, and also in consumer magazines where the results of evaluating items like hair dryers, toothpastes, and washing machines are presented. They are typically combined tables and written text. The written text serving to explain, justify, emphasize, and sum up what is presented in the tables. For many teachers, the evaluation of course books is more important than designing course because their teaching situation determines that they should work from a course book. It should be clear from this chapter that evaluating and adapting a course book uh, draw on the same knowledge and procedures that are used when designing a course. Evaluating a course book is a small but important exercise in curriculum designs. Okay, well, thank you very much. This is the end of my presentation. And next, we move to the next presenter. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning everyone. I'm Uswatun Hasana. We'll present the materials from the book from the chapter 12 entitled Introducing Change. The curriculum has a significant role in educational system. The curriculum changes are made to respond to the changing situation that develop time by time. Apart from that, curriculum changes also useful in preparing students who are able to compete globally in the future. In addition, the previous curriculum for some people saw it as a burden for the students and also the teacher, so it needed to be changed. The aims of these chapters is to get teacher and learner to accept a new course or changes to existing course. Curriculum design usually involves change, especially when a new course replaces an existing course. White in 1993 stated that the change or innovation needs considerations so that the work that goes into planning and design is rewarded by the acceptance and appropriate use of the course. There are two important related aspects to any major curriculum change. The first is the curriculum itself, the change that occurs in the core of the curriculum. And the second is the change that needs to occur in the minds of the various people affected by the curriculum. If a teacher is only making changes within their own version, changes in attitude, both the teacher and the learners are still very important. If the teacher has not taken a fresh viewpoints on the course, the change may really be no change at all. If all the changes to the course are significant, the learners may find it difficult to cope with something that is too far outside of their experience and also their expectation. Thus, an important issue related to curriculum design involves the management of change. There are many kinds of change that can occur in an educational system. And here, a list of some changes that could have a direct effect on what happens in the classroom. The first is introducing a new course book. The use of books or teaching materials for a teacher is one of the important things in conveying learning materials to their students. However, a teacher sometimes faces problems in finding or using the new teaching materials for their students because they have to consider many things. For example, the relevance of textbooks to the potential needs of the students, the culture and background of the students, and also the development of educational system. And the second kinds of change is introducing new teaching techniques or changing to new approach to teaching. When a teacher applies a new teaching strategy or a new approach to their students in the classroom, the teacher still often faces various obstacles. This is because the teacher may not have mastered the strategy or the approach, and sometimes have difficulty in time management in implementing the new techniques or the new approach. Therefore, a good way in introducing and also the right preparation process needs to be done before coming to the classroom. And the next kind of change is moving to standard-based assessment and also changing the national English test for entering university. When we talk about curriculum design, it means we talk also about the measurement of the objectives or the goal achievement. The changes do not only occur in the process of implementation of teaching and learning, but also in the aspect of assessment and evaluation. These changes occur in several indicators or assessment standards that are not the same as the previous model. For example, assessing the attitudes, knowledge, or the skills of the students. In addition, changes that occur in the form of the test not only need to be known by the teacher, but also by the students who will take the test later. And the last kind of change is changing part of the country's school system to English medium. In consequence, promoting change need to concern to the steps that will be applied, and hopefully the change can be accepted by all people involved. Let us look first at the step that could be followed when introducing change. By paying attention to the following step, the chance of introducing change can be carried out successfully. And there are 5 steps in introducing change, and each step has its own standard in the form of several questions. The first is make sure that the change is really needed. To know the need for the change, we can ask some questions, such as, are enough people dissatisfied with the present situation? What is the real reason for the change? And the second step is plan the type of change so that it is not too great and not too small. There are several points that can be concerned with the size of the change. They are, is the change too simple or too complex? Or is the change too insignificant or too feasible? The third is the change too similar or too different from existing practices? And the third step is make sure that enough people see that the kind of change is possible. The people involved in this change must understand the opportunities that they will face later after the change happens. And related to this, we can ask some questions such as, will the change involve more gains or than the losses? And the second is, are there practical obstacles to the change, such as a lack of resources? And the third step is use a wide range of change strategies. In measuring the wide range of change, several questions can be offered. For example, does the change have official supports? Do people understand the value of the change? Are the users involved in the change? And is there frequent and good communication between all people involved? And the last step is be prepared for the change to take a long time. The process of introducing change is not an instant activity. Therefore, few things should be paid attention to, such as, is there enough time or enough money for the change? And is there long-term support for the change? And for detailed explanation in each step will be explained. The first is the need for the change. We can see the need for change by looking at the present situation in learning process. Change occurs easily if people are dissatisfied with the present situation. If language course is not achieving the result that it should, or if the nature of the course causes dissatisfaction among the teachers or learners, then one of the first prerequisites for change is present. If the whole range of people affected by the change see the need for the change, the conditions are ideal to conduct or to change the curriculum. And if we talk about the size of the change, Stoller suggests in 1994 that the size of the change should not be too small or not too big grades. If the curriculum or the change is too great, the people feel threatened or agitated by the change. If the change is too large, then those people who affected will see many obstacles to its implementation and may be reluctant to put in the considerable efforts to may be reluctant to put in the considerable effort needed to support it. While if the proposed curriculum change is too small, it may not win much support from others who do not see it as a real innovation and thus not worth a lot of efforts. It should be in the medium size and must concern with the six scales such as implicitness, visibility, originality, compatibility with past practices, difficulty, and the last is flexibility. And now come to the next step is realistic change. The change may start from dissatisfaction with the present situation. If it does, it must also be obvious to those involved that the proposed change is possible and will be an improvement. And there are three few points or three statements that should be concerned. The first is the resources to support the change. The change must also be feasible to the resources that are available, the amount of time, the number of people affected by the change. Consideration should be given the resources and supports that classroom teacher will need during the change process, which may be ongoing for a number of years. And the second few points is the people involved in the change. The people who involved in the implementation of the change need to see that there will be benefits from the change and it will not make them more overworked than before. If their involvement in curriculum change can be shown to add to their professional development through publication, official recognition, and gains in status for them or for their institution, then this favors change. And the last few points is the people who will receive the ultimate benefit of the change, and they are usually the leaders. They are not often negotiators in the change process. At the very least, it must be clear to those involved that the leaders will benefit from the change and be more satisfied as a result of it. Most curriculum change has the aim of producing better learning, and the teachers will usually get involved in innovation, which result in considerable work for them if they see that there are substantial benefits for the learners. Learners may also be directly involved in the curriculum change. And now we will go to the next presenter that will explain detail the other two other steps. Okay, I think that's all from me. Have a great day and thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning. Before I start my presentations, let me introduce myself. My name is Abdurrahman, and today I would like to deliver my own topics that entitled Introducing Change. And the aim of this part of the curriculum design process is to get teachers and learners to accept a new course or changes to an existing course that they have. So what is the introducing change inside? And the first one is teachers' belief, and the second one is using a variety of change and strategies, and the third one or the last one, innovations, management, and long-term support. So let's see. what inside teachers believe. For some scholars or many practitioners have believed that teachers' belief consists of teachers are the main group of responsible for implementing change, and they do in the classroom to some extent to determine what they believe, and sometimes teachers' belief also influenced by some factors, including knowledge, beliefs, and personal histories. Teachers' belief and teacher behavior in the classroom are necessarily the same among many. So teacher's role is to transmit knowledge from the curriculum to the learners has been replaced by recognition that teachers have complex mental needs that determine what and how they teach. And then the last one, we can change changing beliefs of teachers is possible through professional development and training that they can get. Next one. In introducing change, using a variety of change strategies is enabled. The first one, called power coercive, where change is achieved through authority rules and top-down pressure, as happened in Indonesia that we have now, called curriculum Merdeka Belajar. And the next one, rational empirical, where change is achieved through explaining, justifying, and showing the reason why the change is good and necessary. And the third one, called normative re-educative, where change is achieved through discussions, involving, and negotiations. So let's see this table. Strategy for change and their characteristic. So this table include type of change, power coercive, rational empirical, and the last normative re-educative. In means of change, first laws, rule directive, and laws, such as from Ministry of Education, as in our nation, as in our country, Indonesia, and reason and explanation, change, understanding, knowledge, or reasons. Then in normative or educative collaborative negotiations, ownership of change, and personal change involvement. So next one, condition encouraging the use of particular strategy. In power coercive, reluctant to change, but in rational empirical, good communication channels, well-educated teachers, and in normative or educative, time available and willingness to be involved. Example in English language teaching, in power courses, we can find those things in national syllabus prescribed text, in rational empirical, seminars in separate course, information sheet, and in the problem-solving workshop at normative or educative base. So what is the benefit of all of those? What is the benefit of those things? The first one, in official support stresses necessity of change, and next one, encourage understanding and keeping informed, and informed teachers professional development provides a personal stake in the result. So the third one, innovations management and long-term support. A curriculum change usually has more effect than well first plan for, and the adjustment of a curriculum to change that are caused by the change. In addition, there is a need to evaluate the innovation to ensure that it is in effect a real improvement over the past practices. So let's see what inside innovation and principle. In 1987, White defining aims defines innovation and principle into the defining aims, defining end result. This should make clear what the particular benefit of the innovation will be that we have done in the curriculum design, and gather information what we already know and what we need to know. And the fourth one, defining what has to be done. This involves getting particular jobs, setting the time limits, setting up procedures, and preparing plans. And next, action making the change. And the sixth one, reviewing and evaluating. What about Marke in 1997? According to him, curricular innovations is a complex phenomenon. So as a result, the principal job of change agent is to affect desired change. A good communication among project participants is key to successful curricular innovations. And next one, the successful implementation of educational innovation is based on a strategic approach to managing change. Innovation is an inherently messy and unpredictable business, and it always takes longer effects to change than originally anticipated. And next one, there is a high likelihood that change agent proposal will be misunderstood, and it's important for implementing the innovation that we can implement and it is important for children to opinion leader and their peers. So thank you very much for your kind attention, and see you next time in the other presentations. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.